People that have been diagnosed with a terminal illness. And often when that happens, many people can feel lonely or fall into a depression. So Harbor Hospice of Corpus Christi is trying to change that through the power of companionship and volunteering.
We have a couple of music therapy volunteers, and every time they go see their patients, it just makes their entire day.
But you don't have to be musically inclined to volunteer your time. Sarah Head with Harbor Hospice says they're looking for people who enjoy reading, doing art therapy, and pet therapy, among many other things.
Talking to the patients, playing games.
Hospice patients come from all walks of life, and they expect their volunteers will too. All they're asking is for folks who can spend a few hours a week with someone who just wants companionship.
You know, we like to find those pairing of passions of volunteers that are wanting to give back to the community and to also make a friend. I mean, it's about relationships at this point.
Volunteers can choose how many patients they're able to visit over the course of a week, but Harbor Hospice hopes the more time volunteers spend with patients, the higher their spirits will be.
To find out how you can volunteer your time, you can go to our website at kztv10.com.
All right, time now to get a first look at the forecast with meteorologist Mike Hernandez. I don't know if you're a golfer, but today was the perfect day to get the clubs out, hit the little white ball. Would you agree, sir?
I would agree. And as a matter of fact, you have several days like that you could do. Whether you play good golf or bad golf like me, it'll work. All right. Outside right now, we're at 71. And again, we're seeing a nice little breeze, so it's enjoyable. And in spite of the front that's going to be in a little bit later on, it's still going to be nice. Actually, you could also if you happen to have a little boat, or one like this, you could go out on that or just kind of wet a line. Anything outside would be very nice this evening. We had a lot of sunshine just mixed with those high clouds as they drifted on through. Temperatures everywhere in the viewing area, 70s and 80s. And again, as we go into the evening, it's going to be a slow cool down. And again, some more of those high clouds. However, there is a front that's sitting back to our northwest already in the state, and that's going to be in tonight. That'll change our Tuesday a little bit. I'll have more on that. And we're going to take a look at the several fronts that actually are showing up in the next 7 days. Now, this is your first forecast, and it was brought to you by the Navy Army Community Credit Union.
All right, Mike, we'll look forward to your forecast as always. Coming up here now on Action 10 News at 5, the governor of New York helps at an accident scene.
Plus, bed bugs in a Walmart, the unusual crime, when we come back. The governor of New York came to the aid of people involved in an accident. Governor Cuomo was leaving an event today and got stuck behind an accident on the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway. He jumped into action to help the stuck passenger. Cuomo, with the help of others, pulled the trapped passenger out of his seatbelt and helped him out of the overturned truck. After saving the man trapped in the car, Governor Cuomo was seen comforting a distraught woman near the crash.
Video is going to show us now the moment that a man jumps off a highway bridge during a chase in Atlanta. People were trying to pull another driver over for speeding when this guy here mistakenly thought cops were after him, so he sped off, crashed his car in the process, then started running down the highway. At one point, you see him jump over the guardrail. Police couldn't find him after he jumped, but he did turn himself in later.
And people are bugging out after someone released bed bugs inside a men's dressing room at a Walmart in Pennsylvania. Police say a manager at the store found a closed pill bottle with live bugs crawling inside. The next day, a lab company was contacted. They found bed bugs crawling inside the men's dressing room. Another closed pill bottle that contained several dead bugs was found on the floor of the men's department near the belts.
It kind of bothers me, but I know the management here, they're going to take steps to go ahead and, like, if it's actually a fact, the management here at Walmart, they are not reactive, they're more proactive.
A spokesperson with Walmart says the affected area has been blocked off and a pest management service has visited the store. There's no word yet on who is responsible for releasing the bugs. Pennsylvania State Police are investigating.
City of Corpus Christi says it's filling potholes as fast as possible. In the last few weeks, Corpus Christi taxpayers have paid $170,000 to fill 14,000 potholes all over the city. Officials say it's all hands on deck to fill the holes, which, well, of course, as we all know here, pop up every time it rains. And normally street operations averages 20 calls a day for the potholes. Right now they're getting 70 to 100 calls every day and filling those potholes as fast as possible while looking for even more.
We're also looking for the potholes. We're not waiting for people to call us in. We take a proactive approach, and we divided the street into zones, and we're going around the zones and looking for the potholes.
Well, rain is expected this weekend, which could mean even more potholes on our streets. Mr. Cardenas says his crews will be ready to go and fill them. Still ahead, the Dallas Cowboys have a new head coach. The latest from Jerry World coming up.
And the wildfires in Australia have scorched nearly 20 million acres of land, forcing thousands to flee. We'll have the latest when we return.
All right, Cowboys got their man. You've probably heard by now, Mike McCarthy, the guy who used to coach the Packers. He had a winning record there in 13 seasons in Green Bay, which included a Super Bowl win with Aaron Rodgers. Now, he didn't coach last year. Remember, he was fired 12 games into the 2017 season. Yeah, he replaces that guy there. Jason Garrett coached the Cowboys 10 seasons in Big D. But now Mike McCarthy becomes the 9th head coach in Cowboy history.
Rain and cooler temperatures are bringing some relief for communities devastated by the out-of-control bushfires raging across Australia. Nearly 20 million acres have burned, and authorities say the fires could keep burning for months. At least 25 people have died since September, and nearly 1 billion animals are also dead. Jamie Yukas is in Australia with more.
We cannot guarantee your safety at present.
Authorities across Southeast Australia are racing to get people to safety, using the light rain and cool weather for cover after supercharged fires continue to ravage the continent over the weekend.
It's like something out of a horror movie. I've never seen anything like it.
The fires have scorched nearly 20 million acres of land, forcing thousands to flee.
My neighbour stayed to defend his property, and he contacted me this morning to say, sorry, but my house is gone.
Fire officials here in New South Wales say the flames roared through here so quickly that the fire consumed things like cars, homes, and vegetation at a rate of 7 miles in 2 hours.
Australian firefighters are working around the clock, battling both the fierce flames and exhaustion.
All the crews in this area are just hurting. They're tired.
As a crew of U.S. firefighters arrive to provide welcome assistance.
Did you ever think you'd see something of this magnitude in Australia?
Never. Never.
Evacuee Margaret Fitzpatrick came back to find both her neighbors' homes burned down, but hers still standing.
For people watching in the United States, what would you want them to know?
Just the spirit of everyone banding together and helping each other. And even though a lot of people have lost a lot of things, we still have that really good community spirit.
The Australian government committed the equivalent to $1.5 billion US for recovery. While conditions were improved, firefighters are concerned that later this week there will be stronger winds and higher temperatures. Jamie Yukas, CBS News, Canberra, Australia.
Now, Action 10's Mike Hernandez with your Doppler 10 weather forecast.
And here's what makes it even worse for Australia. We're going into our winter. Well, in the southern hemisphere where Australia is, they're going into their summer, and they have some very, very hard summers. So if they don't get control of this and the hot weather takes over again, it could be a long time coming before they get this under control, or others that could start after that. Well, meanwhile, we enjoyed a beautiful day today. We hit the middle 70s and still very pleasant. So if you have plans this evening, it's going to be very nice. Temperature 71 in Corpus Christi. Port A is checking in at 67. Now notice the winds. They're running 5, 10, 15 miles an hour out of the southeast. Going to keep us very nice and pleasant through the evening. 70s and 80s, coming off some upper 70s and low 80s back to the west now. And just a few high clouds that have been drifting on through. You see a few more off to the west, but I don't think we're going to get any rain out of this, in spite of the fact that we have a front that's going to be bearing down on us as we go through the overnight hours. And as it does, it's going to be, again, just bringing drier air once again, and we're already dry. And then it's also going to be bringing some breezy conditions. So there's not a lot of green on the map, as you can see. As a matter of fact, anywhere in the country, there is some bitter cold air across New England and the lakes right now. And that's just some of that polar vortex air starting to come out of the northern part of the country, in the northern part of Canada, and it's starting to work its way that way. Right now, we're cut off from that, but we do have several fronts that are coming at us over the next 7 days. This one is going to be very weak. Normally, we sit at about 47 for our low, and we have a high of about 67 for January. So again, we're looking at things to change very little. This is typically our coolest month of the year, and we get about 1.5 inches of rain. So this again is one of the months that we don't get much rain, and it looks like it's going to hold true already. Temperatures through this evening going from about 71 at 7 through the low 60s as we hit, say, 10, 11 o'clock tonight. And again, the wind staying up. Again, the bigger story is the fact that we're going to have a little cool front moving in through the night. Even though it's going to be dry and it's not going to be real strong, it is going to knock the temperatures down 8, 9 degrees between today's highs and tomorrow's highs. But with sunshine and the breeze letting up in the afternoon, it still should be very nice. And then we'll see more clouds and warmer temperatures return, and humidity return as we get into the middle and latter parts of the week before the next front moves on in. Here's the forecast for the overnight low tonight. Looking at about 50, just a few clouds, and again, the winds shifting behind that front from the southeast to the north and then northeast. And then highs and lows tomorrow just a touch cooler. For instance, we're going to bottom out at about 50 here. There'll be some 40s out towards Tilden and Alice, and as far as Freer, they're going to hit about 46. Meanwhile, right along the coast, Port A and Rockport going to be in the middle 50s, and again with those winds. And then tomorrow's highs are going to end up in the 60s. So instead of mid 70s and a few 80s thrown in, it's going to be mostly 60s, but still, again, still very pleasant. And as we go through the day, we're going to start out at about 50. So again, dress the kids in something for a little bit cooler conditions early on. Still pleasant as we go through the day, though, about 67 for the high and plenty of sunshine. So it's going to be nice, but early on, they may feel that discomfort there, and then temperatures going back into the 50s as we hit the evening hours. The big picture in the upper levels, we've got this one little ripple. See this little dip right here? That is the system that's pushing the front through in the upper levels. That's the one that's going to bring it through tonight. Not very strong. There's another one back behind it, and this one's a little bit more pronounced, and this upper level low is going to push another front, and that one is going to be in towards the weekend. Still not real strong, though, so there's no major changes in the next 7 to 10 days. And again, slight chances for rain as we get into the midweek hours. And days rather, and I think we're going to see that moving off very quickly, and then after that it's going to be high and dry until that next front brings us a chance of rain. Here's your 7-day forecast, and your 7 days brought to you by AutoNation. AutoNation will purchase your car even if you don't purchase a vehicle from them, so shop now at the AutoNation lot near you. So tomorrow a little cooler behind the front, a little breezy early on, and then after that, look at the warming trend. We see 70s and then some 80s before that next front comes in, but still setting us up for a nice weekend, and then another front moves in starting out next week.
All right, Mike, thanks a lot. Still to come here on Action 10 News at 5. Listen to this now. A new state law protecting hospital patients from sticker shock is in effect.
Plus, we'll take a look at some parks undergoing renovations. We'll be right back.